This episode of the Conscious Salon podcast is brought to you by Revlon Professional Australia.
Welcome back, guys. We've got someone very special. We're going to be on our best behaviour here because we do have one of our mates in the studio today.
Say, this is like, we used to play netball together. How many years ago was that?
Wow.
Oh my God.
20.
Oh my God, 20 years ago.
No, not 20.
15.
15.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Do
it
the
was.
math. No,
It
seriously.
was. Yeah.
I was reflecting, when you asked me to do this and sit in this illustrious chair, how long we've known each other. And it would be 20 years.
20 years.
Happy
Probably
anniversary.
longer.
Probably long. One of my
Happy
longest
anniversary.
relationships. How good.
Question one, what position did you play on the netball team? Were you
You
were a wing, weren't you, or a centre?
I was a
She was a
centre and
centre.
a goal shooter.
She was and Taryn was always good in the attack and the defense, actually, I'd say. But my excuse me as I get the frog out of my throat, my memories of playing netball with Taryn, she is like me, little pocket rocket. And then when she gets pissed off, it's on. But as soon as it's done, we're all good.
Shake hands with the other
We shake
team.
hands with the other
Absolutely.
Big smile, big cuddle. But yeah, it was let's start netball again first.
I don't think my knees will hold up.
Of course they
honestly.
will, Dal.
They're
You're
broken.
in better shape than me and I'm prepared to go.
Maybe on the outside, but the inside's desperately broken.
Very good.
Disagree. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
We'll
off
talk
air.
osteoporosis after the episode. But Taryn Evans, one of our
Yes.
beautiful girlfriends, is here. And she's not in the industry, so everyone's wondering why she's here. But
Can we
she's
say
here.
where you have been? Because this is just wrapped. Am I allowed to say where you have been as of
Where you
last
just
night?
worked?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Tarry has just wrapped the Oz Open. So she's come straight from Novak. I was going to say Novak and Djokovic. Djokovic v Alcaraz. So she's had a late night. Brighton, look at her. Bush eye, what is it? Sparkly eye, brushy tail, all the hot things.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
But Tarry, the reason that we wanted to get you in here was because even with you being a client in the salon, when we've stood behind the chair, the amount of times that we've I actually hate myself for this, but the amount of times that we've picked your brain or asked for your opinion or perspective of something because you work in HR.
Mm.
And I feel that the biggest challenge, actually I'm going to say majority of the challenges that we help salon owners with, but also that we help link them in with the right people as well to help support them, is usually around team and culture.
Mm.
And you happen to be the director of people and culture in the company that you work for.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd drag you into the studio and ask you a few questions that people had submitted in our community so that we can work out how hard is it to actually fire someone. What would I do in this situation? Give me some prompts on how to handle this. So we're going to put you in the hot seat and do a bit of a fire round.
Great. Bring it on.
Feel ready?
I will preface. I'm not an employment lawyer.
No,
So
yes.
I do have a bit of experience with employment lawyers and navigating my own way through, challenges in the workplace, obviously being in people and culture for sort of 20-ish years, probably ever since I started playing netball. There's a correlation
when it
there.
needed,
Maybe
yes.
that's not. I'm not sure.
Say there's a reason for that. I think, yeah. So basically, don't come for us.
We're not
This is
giving
all-
legal
no
advice.
legal
I feel like
advice.
our lawyer Kim would appreciate us saying this. We're
Yeah,
not
she would.
giving legal advice.
No.
We're not
Yes.
giving financial advice at any point on this podcast. We're just talking about in our own experience. And if you choose
These are
to
guidelines.
do what
and
you want.
Like, what's
Yeah,
that
of
thing?
course.
It's just like
Agree.
it's just a little chit chat.
So I'm going to see how many we can get through because we've had a lot of questions that have come through. Obviously, people were very excited to get some free HR advice from you. First question, if I need to fire someone, what is the cleanest, safest way to do it? What do I say? And do I need to put it in writing?
There's a few layers to it, I think, as there always is. Humans are complicated. And so, the cleanest and the easiest way to do it is with respect, of course.
Oh, I love that.
And with a view that, the sort of casualized version in my mind is the way that I say it, and it's probably true for relationships too, but the workplace is sort of similar, is there's a lid for every pot. If you've got somebody in your workplace that, things aren't working out for whatever reason, whether it's dynamic, whether it's performance, whether it's conduct, like whatever's going on, there's often a deeper reason behind why that's going on. And so treating that individual with some respect and recognizing that perhaps this pot isn't the right place for their lid, if that makes any sense. So it's sort of
I'm dropping the square peg round hole analogy and I'm doing the pot and lid analogy from now on. Already got a nugget, so thank you.
I love that.
Wow.
So it's sort of taking that perspective
Right.
and saying that maybe they're better off somewhere else, but also giving
a different
another
scope
kitchen.
entirely.
yeah, in a completely new kitchen.
You're going to get the giggles so many
I
times.
know.
Sorry.
No,
We're talking
we're
about
great.
serious topics, but another thing you'll learn about me is I don't take myself too seriously. Yes, it's in HR. Yes, we're talking about people's employment, but hey.
But you'd have to as well. Like, I feel like otherwise you wouldn't.
Have you ever used that analogy when you've been sacking someone?
Not to their face.
Oh, I was like, that would be such a good way to let them down. You're a square
pot.
container
No.
and I am a spatula.
That's
Okay.
right.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's giving people an opportunity to improve and being really clear with them that hey, here are the expectations. Let's work through a way that we can help you meet them. Giving them an opportunity, making sure that you're documenting every step along the way. It's sort of typically a 3-strike rule. You talk to them, you sit them down, you document them, you give them an opportunity to improve. If they don't, you sit them down again, you have the same conversation, you haven't met these expectations, you document again, and you do that sort of 3 times over. And then you've essentially met your obligation from a legal standpoint. And what if you were to end up, unfortunately, in a Fair Work type situation, that's typically what they would look at.
This is one of the biggest things I think that people often, because we had this even, I think, a week or 2 ago with one of our clients who had to do a written warning. She's like, do I have to actually physically give it? I was like, yes, it needs to be like the documentation. We need to have like evidence of it because otherwise it is just hearsay. That's when it can get complicated and challenging. So biggest thing I'm hearing from that, write everything down, have everything in documents, keep making sure that you can hit the expectation. And if you can't, we've done all we can.
You've done all you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love.
Huge. Love. Okay, next one. I've got a team member who is constantly calling in sick last minute. Like every week or every second week she's sick. It's starting to impact clients. The rest of the team are pissed off. And I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. We hear this every other week. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells every time I bring it up. I want to handle this properly and fairly, but I also want it to stop. What can I do here? I feel like I need to say this to you because you work in corporate. In a service-based industry where you have to rely on your team turning up in order for anything to happen. Obviously, that's true in corporate too. I understand this person's frustration. Like, even though we've changed our mindset so much on sick leave, I used to feel like this, so I resonate with this. But that feeling of like, oh my God, this team member's constantly sick. Can I even bring up the fact that there's so much sick leave here? Because we're in a service-based industry. So you're like, okay, I've got to contact 30 people today.
Yeah.
You know, it's huge. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's a massive impact on your business and your operations on, particularly the last minute nature that, sickness often comes up in the notification that you're given. And so you've really got to, and as you guys would know, is you've really got to weigh up that impact or the human impact and what, again, it sort of goes back to my previous answer, like what is actually going on? Is there an illness? Is there engagement issues? Do you just not want to be here anymore? Like have a really humanistic conversation compassionately to understand what's actually going on with that person. At the same time, you've got to still run your business. You've got, frontline customers, clients that are relying on you to provide a service. They've reorganized their lives around that appointment, or they've got something that, is really important to them. This is why they're getting, some treatment done or whatever it is. And so you've got to really try and find that balance, and it's tricky, and circumstances will be different depending on the individual and what's actually going on. If it was my business, what I would do is pair that person's, if it's possible without impacting your business operations and your revenue, you'd actually pair that person's client load back and be like, hey, there's consequences to your actions and there's consequences to how you're showing up or not showing up to our business. So let's sit down and have a really important and authentic conversation about what's going on with you because this can't continue.
What I can hear you saying with this is like have open communication on this, like have a courageous conversation where you say, hey, what's going on? I'm noticing this is a pattern. Reliability is becoming an issue.
And I can imagine too, as a business owner, like it would really piss you off, like the emotion that invokes when it starts to impact your brand, your clients, their experience. it can really rile up some anger and frustration. It's just important to really just calm it down and approach that person with compassion in the first instance. And then similarly, back to the first answer, if it's not improving, you've got your 3-step process that you keep going back to.
We've really changed our mind on the whole sick leave thing, because it used to be something that you'd be like, you'd see someone's name pop up on your phone and be like, fucking hell, it's happening again. Here we go again. And we've really changed it to every single team member is entitled to their sick leave. We assume that they're going to take all of their sick leave. And sometimes our girls even have said, I'm having a day, I need a mental health day. And we're like, that is 100% fine. So I think there's a,
but it's communicated though, I feel that.
But we have a responsibility as a business owner to be regulated in that moment. On the flip side, when I hear that this person's like, it's every week, this is common for salons as well. It can be common for emerging team, like apprentices. And it's really hard to know, can I bring this up? Am I allowed to bring this up? Is this warranted? Is this like, can I make a big deal out of this? So that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next question. This is something that like we hear all the time. Every time I have a one-on-one meeting with my team member, I have a team member who cries, gets defensive, and then says that she has mental health issues. How do I hold the line and keep the conversation professional? What do I say?
That's a juicy one.
That is
a juicy one.
It's harder than
just as a chat
coordinating.
We'll just make this clear. It's that's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to understand what kind of mental health issues we're talking about, and taking it as a leader, taking it upon yourself to learn about what sort of reasonable, what we call sort of in the industry, reasonable workplace adjustments that you need to make in the workplace to ensure that that person can still operate successfully and show up successfully in your work environment.
So effectively like a action plan, like a bit of a like, okay, cool, this is what's going on. This is how we can support you to be able to.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's that sort of, support plan is probably.
Support plan's much nicer than
a great,
action.
No, well,
how are you going to get back in there?
Reasonable workplace adjustments. Like, it's just
I like that.
I love that. I'll write that down.
Yeah. So I think it's understanding and trying to approach the individual with some, again, compassion and transparency around, help me understand what are your mental health challenges and how the workplace might be contributing to sort of exacerbating those, and what adjustments we can make in start times, time between clients, what type of clients are allocated to you, type of work, like
how you want to work,
how you want to work,
scale back to like part-time or something like
exactly,
that. That was even just that, how that is, what was the word you said, exacerbating? I can't say the word now. Those things rather than, like I said, contributing. I feel like even your wording on that is really amazing with like how this potentially could add or not add. Okay.
I also want to say, guys, notice Taryn's, when she's giving phrases, notice her language. You said, help me understand. This is something that we say, and this is what we teach our salon leaders to say as well.
I'm pretty sure I actually learnt it from you with help me understand.
Help me understand.
Because I'd always be saying, tell me what's wrong. That's not really like.
Well, we'd often say, tell me what's going on, as opposed to help me understand, or I'm curious to know. Where are you needing more support, and that language is really important. So I would love
kind
people
of more welcoming. Like the door is open.
Defenses will go down. Yeah. I love that.
And I think there's a really big difference between when you have a team member in front of you and they get emotional in a one-on-one. We've had that before, and often what we'll do is we'll say, it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna give you a hug right now. I want you to take your time, and then we'll come back in when you're ready. But just take your time. We're going to have this conversation. So still holding the line there with that conversation to be had. Often it's around performance and numbers, and looking at how we can really empower them, as opposed to making this big. It always wants to be a conversation of inspiration and empowerment, as opposed to being something that's harder, more difficult. Stunning. Okay, next one. What's the fastest way to tell if I have hired the wrong person? These are hard.
I would say trust your instinct. You will know with it. Well, you're in business and you've made it to to that position for a really good reason. You've worked really hard, and particularly as you say, in the service-based industry, you come across a lot of different people coming in and out of your business, whether they work for you or they're your clients. You're a good read of people. You'll know within the first 5 minutes. It's just whether you actually listen to that instinct and that gut around just how they show up, how they interact, how they are curious and they ask questions of others. The people that they're starting to work with and build those relationships, you'll know within the first 5 minutes. Just listen to your instinct.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like young business owners, as in like people who have just gone into business or have been in business a couple of years or who are leading for the first time, we ignore it for so long. That intuition when you're like, gut instinct says not the right person, but I really want to try and work with this person. I want to make it better. I want to do this. We know, listening to that intuition.
It's the lid in the pots, isn't it? It's the lid in the pots.
Okay, next one. Common for salons. How do I handle gossip and cliques in my salon without turning into the police? Okay, like without being a hard ass. What exact language do I use to shut it down? That's a good one.
That is a really good one and so common in every workplace. You get different social groups and, depending on and it's actually regardless of the size of your workplace, it's just human nature.
It's human nature, yeah. Like, isn't that thing that we spend more time with people that you work with more than anyone else in our lives? Yeah.
100%.
So it will happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. So I think the first thing to remember is you're not going to stamp it out and you don't really need to. Like, humans are humans and, if we sit back and reflect on ourselves, like we don't mind a little gossip every now and then with our pals on the weekend.
Taryn, what do you really think about Tess?
Love, pure love and gratitude.
Yeah, we played netball.
We go way back.
That's right. We're going to start again, okay? Anyway. Gossip. What do you think? How's the best way?
Yeah, I mean, there probably isn't one way. It'll be very different to the dynamic.
Would it depend on the situation then as well? Like if it was like, obviously if it was like harmful or bullying or things like that, you'd like handle that in a certain type of way.
Totally.
If it was like just sort of like, I don't know, just like, not like snickering in the corner. That's all I can think about.
Shitty attitude. Or you start to feel like it's cliquey. Would you say, guys, come in, let's have a conversation?
So actually I was talking to somebody the other day in a different circumstance and they were telling me about a really formative leadership experience that they have had throughout their career and they had and they're a sort of young leader and so we were sort of talking about how their leadership journey and how they've learned along the way and they had a particular circumstance where this was happening in their workplace and they were the leader of this very large workforce. And they tackled it head on. They got all of them in a room and basically read the riot act and said, this is not happening anymore.
Wow.
Here are my expectations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it blew up in their face.
Really?
Did not work. It just, the relationships and the respect just weren't there.
Yeah.
In a group setting.
That conversation of like, here's the expectation.
Yeah. It blew up in their face and got
double fingers.
worse. Yeah, basically. And got hugely worse. And so if you look at the other sort of option to that is trying to understand what's going on and why and just doing a little bit of a diagnostic around what is the root cause of this. And you might not know unless you start actually talking to people. And so my advice in the first instance is, and you kind of, your first reaction was, you two, here. And you kind of drag them in the office and you say, what's going on? And read the riot act.
Would never do that, by the way. Just to be clear.
No, we're just it's chit chatting. We're nothing formal. It's all fun.
So it's trying to understand the root cause a little bit and trying to build the relationships and build the trust one-on-one with the team members, and so that they individually understand your expectations. And so sort of like the power dynamic shifts a little bit to be like, hey, leader to team member expectations. This is what I stand for and this is what I expect. And then equally you have that same conversation with maybe the other person involved and then the rest of the team if they're involved or not. And so you're all on a level playing field. And then so the dynamic and the relationship between the rest of the team shifts a little bit because you've made it really clear and you've built that connection with the team member.
Actually, because even when I'm thinking about that, if you were to do it like with the two people together, that would potentially, they could walk out of that and be like, can you fucking believe that? And then it can that makes sense. It's almost like a bit of a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
To be like, cool, let's touch base here, let's touch base there. And then we can all move forward.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We had this in our team in the last couple of years, I'm going to say.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to be respectful about how I say it.
Mm.
Again, human nature.
Yeah.
And the way that we dealt with it.
Chit-chatting.
The way that we dealt with it was we actually had a realignment conversation
Mm.
and we sat the team down and went through our values and basically laid out the expectation as a team without necessarily saying this is the problematic situation. So we had a really clear realignment chat, which was actually really powerful. And even the team members who were nowhere near involved found it really realigning as well.
Yeah.
And then we pulled the team members who were involved separate and basically said, you know, what's going on?
Mm.
It's human nature. What's going on? However, this is what our expectation is. These are what our values are.
Mm-hmm.
How do these values actually feel to you?
Mm.
Do you still embody these values? Do you still feel aligned to these values or do we need to have a different conversation?
Yeah.
And it actually worked out beautifully.
Mm.
There's an old version of us that would have been like in the back office, you know, and have that
I still
conversation.
have to fight
for
that.
sure.
That's still the thing that I want to fight. Yeah.
Mm.
It's leadership
hard.
is emotional. It's
really
really
is.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is so good. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
A client complains about a team member. This is a really good question.
Mm.
A client complains about a team member. What's the correct way to give that feedback? What would you recommend? How would you recommend giving that feedback?
Oh,
Again, I think it's very individually considered.
mm-hmm.
Depends where that person's at.
Mm.
And that's, as you say, like that's the beauty of leadership. It's a very emotional journey and individualistic in nature in terms of really giving consideration to where if that person's got stuff going on, you probably want to tackle it in a particular way that's going to meet them where they're at and what's going on. As a blanket rule, transparently. Ultimately, again, it's going to impact your brand. It's going to impact your client's experience, and that person deserves to know. They deserve to know the impact of their performance or the impact of the service that they're providing on their clients. Like they don't, generally speaking, we think the best in people. They don't want to come to work and do a bad job.
Totally.
So just let them know. It's just the way that you do it needs to be considered in terms of what's going to get the best out of them. How are they going to hear this feedback?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know we had a client this morning? I'm going to bring this in because this is something I've definitely learned from Tessa's leadership. We had a client this morning and she said, can I have some feedback on the way that I've led my team member this morning? Like this is the feedback that I gave her. And she'd actually given her written feedback because they were working off, like she was working off site.
Oh, I haven't read this yet, Nikki's. Oh, yeah.
She'd given her team member written feedback and it was beautifully, this salon owner has often worries that she'll be very direct. I really liked her direct nature, but we're really trying to soften her leadership and be more considered with her language. And she wrote, the first thing that she wrote was like, I really love your goal, but XYZ, and gave feedback. And I said, one thing that Tess has taught me is rather than using the word but, saying, I love that goal, let's make it more tangible by doing XYZ. So removing the word but because it can feel really disempowering. So even just looking at, and I'm listening to when you're talking about that phrasing, I'm listening to the language that you're using constantly because I think we can all learn so much from this. From leadership, I feel like I'm learning so much in this podcast, just selfishly.
But this is just for me.
Yeah, and I think like when you're saying that considered feedback of looking at, okay, does this, you know, how am I going to deliver this feedback and how would it actually feel to be in my team member's shoes, receiving this feedback, especially if it's going to come as a surprise to them or if they've got that compounding effect of the things that are going on in their lives. So being really considered with that. Next question. What should we do in a one-on-one if a team member makes excuses for underperforming? Language suggestions, please.
Oh, great. Okay. Makes excuses for underperformance.
Do you want me to give you like an example of what?
Great. Yeah, go for it.
I didn't rebook my clients because they like to book online.
They're shift workers. They didn't have their roster.
Yeah, okay. So what impact would that have on
not
low
sustainable
retention.
Business, low retention rate?
Yeah, okay.
So
empty books.
Empty books.
Yeah,
yes.
right, okay. Okay, so at the end of the service, I didn't because they have a different preference. Yeah, okay.
So I would say that would be our number one is that people, or it will be, you know, I haven't done any retail because everyone's already on amazing things or, you know.
Adore Beauty. This is from one of our private clients.
Yeah.
This team member will often say, my clients will book online. They don't like to rebook, but rebooking is a big touch point of ours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So obviously the correction needs to be, well, what are our targets? What are we working towards? And do you align to those? Like, do you buy in? what is it that's uncomfortable about
Curiosity again.
It's like it is. It's just approaching things curiously because there's a lot that goes on under the surface, and I can imagine somebody that feeling uncomfortable if they're not sort of target orientated, perhaps. If, I watch and listen to you guys a lot, so I know.
Do you actually?
Yeah,
I love
of course
it.
I do. How you measure on a monthly basis what your targets are for your team, and you bring those numbers up. Obviously not relentlessly that you're jamming them down people's throats, but it's like, we're here to perform, we're running a business kind of thing. So, which is totally fair. So really understanding what is it, if we're here and we're trying to get here as a business and you're a really key contributor to that success and we all want to celebrate that success together, what is it that's getting in between or getting in the way of you being able to contribute to that? What's feeling uncomfortable?
Yes.
What are the barriers?
We need to write
down every phrase that's coming out of Taryn's mouth because that is so good. Just even with that, like,
do you know what's interesting? When you said that key, if you're a key contributor, if you've got a team of 5, 20% of your business is riding on one person.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
huge.
Epiphany moment.
I know. This is so good. Wow, I'm loving this.
Taryn, what is the difference? Well, I feel like we've covered that actually with someone not being a culture fit.
But that would also be a big
this is good.
tap on for that as well.
This is good advice for us because we have our Christmas party this weekend.
Christmas
party. We always do it in February because we want a pool and hot weather.
Yeah, fair.
Christmas party recommendations. We are all family, and I do like to drink with my team. Sorry. I'd love to know their thoughts, as in your thoughts.
What's the question?
Christmas.
Do you recommend?
Okay, they're saying like
Salon, like
I'm going to reword this.
Drinking.
What do you think about the idea of Christmas parties and drinking with your team as a salon owner?
Partying, not like a wine or two, like
the bags. No, I'm joking.
Whoa.
Like going hard.
I'm joking. I don't know.
Darren's like, don't put me anywhere near that. I'm talking like, someone's doing keg stands, things like that. Like,
yeah, that's a hard no for me.
Hard no.
That's a hard no.
Drinking any alcohol?
No.
One or two.
There's a respectable limit where, as a leader, you've still, and let me get a little bit more technical about the extension of the workplace as well. So whilst you're having
Can
your
I just do this for this
Christmas party, while you're having your Christmas party on, it's technically a work event.
Yes.
Because the purpose of it is connecting your workmates together. And naturally people form friendships and, really tight relationships. And that's what you want to be able to translate to get, success in the workplace is really tight, cohesive relationships. And, we do these things to build relationships and break down those walls and barriers and things. But as the leader, you're still responsible for,
100%.
conduct and behavior, respect. If you're getting bush-donkered with
no bush-donkering this weekend, okay?
Then you kind of lose
There's
the
no
ability.
line,
You lose the ability to stay objective.
Totally.
And just monitor how the dynamic is playing out a little bit, and then you just become sort of part of the problem. So just keep a limit on it. Like you can't. I think it's a worse thing to not do anything at all, and then you just
totally
robotic stiff man.
Tess and I always like at the Christmas party we always say, okay, it's time for us to go to bed. Or if we've got an event, we'll say this is where our night ends here.
Yep.
And then we'll go to bed. And as much as I was obviously taking this before about drugs, this is a problem in our industry.
Yeah.
100%.
In the hair industry, it's very normalized to go out and party with your team. Doing drugs with your team is normalized.
Not now. Not as I've done it as
no, as and we actually have a really candid conversation every Christmas party that we have a conversation around, guys, we don't expect that this is going to happen, but we just want to bring in what the standard is. Absolutely no drugs. This is still a work event, respect, blah, blah, blah. We have that conversation at the start of the Christmas party because we go away together for 2 nights. So I think the room for that boundary to be pushed is open. And as you say, we're liable for anything that happens at that weekend. So
I'll be so interested for your listeners to step back and have a think about and reflect on some of their past experiences and just connect any issues that are going on within your business at the moment and some of those experiences how some
Where are those
things
lines
might
being
be
blurred?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I just got a flashback to when we made Megan do a shoey. Like there was many years ago, very different leaders, but we did. That was reflective of what was happening in our business.
Yeah.
Okay. If a team members being passive to each other, team growing resentment, what is your best advice? Good one.
Probably a similar approach to the gossip.
Yeah.
The gossip and sniggering kind of conversation we had. There's obviously some relationship challenges there, lack of understanding, respect, cohesiveness, clicking. I would probably start with a individual conversation to say, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Help me understand what's going on. It's as simple as it needs to be.
Would you bring the two in together if they were resenting each other?
Oh, I don't know how well that would go. You'd probably get donuts. Like if they're not communicating with each other on their own terms, trying to bring trying to bring in an authority to make them communicate. I can't imagine that would go well.
So what would you'd have the conversation with one and you'd say, okay, I can hear that you're frustrated with so-and-so because they run behind or whatever the situation. I'm just trying to think of like what would happen in a salon. Don't clean up after yourself, whatever it is. And then I have the conversation and, you know, Jessica says this about Diane and Diane says this about Jessica. How do you resolve that without getting the two parties in the same room?
Yeah, you could. That's probably the next step. If you didn't see improvement after your one-on-one conversations, it's essentially a mediated conversation to sit down and say, hey, my role is to help the two of you get along, help the two of you resolve your challenges or frustrations, and being really clear about what that role is. I'm not here to make decisions on your behalf. I'm not here to make you change your behavior. I'm here to help the two of you see each other's sides. And then you try and oftentimes with mediation, you need probably 2 or 3 conversations with each side before you get the two together. And then that's the role that you would need to play.
Huge. I'm even noticing your language of
So
help
good.
me understand, and my role here is to help you. I love that. My role is to it's almost like when we talk about intention.
Yeah.
My intention for this meeting is X.
Yeah.
My role here is to
I hear so much of like the way that you lead is like consciously but also compassionately, like getting curious and like it's almost like a say less and listen more sort of approach. Yeah. Love that.
All right. Last question, Taryn. I want to know, I'm just going to go a little bit off track. What do you think, if you could speak to the salon owners of Australia, hearing all of these things that our industry does, and I feel like, let me give you actually some context. Our work cover premium as an industry has risen by, I can't even tell you, I actually got the stat the other day, I think 17%.
Yeah.
So dramatic rise in the last 3 years for mental health claims.
Yeah.
So it's common in our industry to struggle to have great leadership and normalize
There's a lot
safe
of
culture,
toxicity,
I'd say. Normalize safe culture.
Mm.
And we've definitely had awful culture in our salon before, and we've had great culture. What do you think is the one piece of advice that you could give to salon owners to help them with their HR and their people management?
Probably just the first thing I want to say to your salon community, and particularly the owners that listen to your podcast, is I am in such awe of your courage to start businesses and to run them like the two of you and, you know, the girls that were here and have been on your podcasts previously. You know, and I remember when you you both went out on your own and started your business, and I think I was coming to you in
Armidale,
that's right. And then it was like, and I lived in like the northern
I know,
suburbs,
I was
so
gonna
I
say,
travelled
such
like
a fucking good friend.
an hour and
I
20
love
minutes
you.
or something every back, like an hour. It would have been like
It was
3 hours.
wild,
Return trip.
It's like, I don't think you're that good.
When but you
I mean,
are,
the hair
that's
says
the
otherwise.
thing. But then that's also what the things that you do to support your friends. But so, yeah, I just wanted to say that to
I bloody love you.
You know, for someone that has worked in corporate all my life, the courage that it takes to show up, to make that decision in the first instance because you're so passionate about what you do and you know that you want to make a difference in the industry. and sort of differentiate yourself and provide a different experience to however many % of people that get their hair done and have the treatments. So that's that.
Thank you. I love
the HR advice in terms of, I hear you, like, and from a premium perspective, cover premium perspective, and the prevalence of mental health challenges in life and then naturally translate into the workplace is absolutely there and only getting worse. And then the services or the lack thereof and access to services to actually help people is really challenging as well. So to internalize that into your own business and say, what can I do to make this easier for people? Again, it's a compassion lens, I guess. Is there's a reality of the world and how people live and the challenges that people go through. So you've got to take your role as a business owner and as a leader really seriously to say, how do I create the conditions within my workplace that are going to support somebody that's going through something really challenging? And so this is going to sound really technical and boring, but late last year, the WorkSafe brought in a whole bunch of new regulations around psychosocial safety. And it sounded at the time like it was going to be really complicated and scary, but it's actually not. And so
it does sound like daunting already.
It does. But then once you actually go through the website and really understand, there's, I think, a list of maybe 14 risks of essentially psychosocial or psychological hazards in the workplace. It would actually be a really interesting practice for you as a business owner to go through those and go, okay, so
this will be me tonight.
and just do a little self-diagnostic, or even do it with your team to say, if we were to rate these high, medium and low from a risk perspective in our business, what would we say, or what would I say, or what would we say? And then that really helps you to understand where your hazards are or where your hotspots are in terms of what could exacerbate psychological claims, health claims, or exacerbate mental health challenges in your workplace.
Wow.
And it's all around, effective leadership, culture, communication, effectiveness of change. Like if you're introducing a new booking system or a POS system, or you're changing your whole product range, like sometimes that can stress people out. So how do you make sure that you're navigating through change in your workplace consciously and well, to make sure that you're bringing people along on the journey? And others are, even physical safety, which is true for your industry as well. So that would actually be a really interesting sort of diagnostic exercise to go through.
Another nugget.
I love that.
Wow. Honestly, this has been like, it's been one of my favorite podcasts.
Taryn, I've learned so much.
I know you said it was supposed to be rapid fire, but I talk a lot.
No, that was.
Thank God you do, because honestly,
perfect. I think
amazing.
I think because HR and this is the thing. HR is such a how long is a piece of string. Like there's so many different layers to how a question can be answered.
Yeah.
But I think you gave so much context, and I think you're going to help a lot of people. I've learned so much listening to you today. So thank you, our beautiful girlfriend Taryn,
oh my gosh,
for being here, backing it up from the Australian Open. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
You're amazing.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Conscious Salon podcast.
Oh, what a gift. Thank you. I love you. That was fucking amazing. Love you guys. Stay conscious.